The age-old question, what if you simply made VR wide? The answer is I can look around corners.
I need to fight more people. Wow. You need a hand, brother?
I figured I'd wear my Space Force uniform today. If you've paid the slightest attention to my channel, then you probably know that I really adore VR and all the hardware that goes with it. This giant empty space behind me is just for VR. And I've collected some strange bits of VR hardware to go with it, like this haptic suit, which I keep using for increasingly dumb reasons.
Ah, I felt that!
Or the cyber shoes, which I've got stuffed in a closet somewhere because they weren't very good. Pimax has been kind enough to send me their top-of-the-range VR headset. This one is the Model 8KX. There we go, I got it off the top of my head. I'm crazy excited to try this. For years, I've used an Index, which I had to actually pay a scalper for because production did not meet demand. It's this lovely little thing here. I consider the Index pretty much at the top of consumer choices for VR at the moment. You know, if cost isn't an issue, I think overall it's the best one. There are some reasons to take the others, but personal favorite, by far the Index. I think it's just the best VR kit that you can currently get. Pimax headsets, though, are some space-age magic with incredibly high resolution, and I'm really keen to try it out and see if my computer explodes. A quick note before I unbox this and actually get into trialing, this is not a paid video. Otherwise, I couldn't call it a review. I don't even get to keep this headset, so it's not like they're just not paying me money. They're also not giving me anything. This is just a review copy that I have to film with and then send back once I'm done filming. I'll get my first impressions of it, I'll record the usual array of games, and then at the end I will wrap up comparing it to an Index, basically covering things like hardware requirements, cost, performance, visual clarity, and ergonomics, which in this case is just, is it comfy? Let's shift the camera around and unbox this thing. I'll have the webcam pointing into the box, but actually camera on me, just that way you can see what I'm seeing. And, man, okay. First of all, first thought is, holy shit, this thing is big. The Index, sorry, I'm about to say the Vive. I used to have a Vive. That was what I used before this. I don't know how it's going to compare to weight, but size-wise alone, this thing is packing. Holy hell. Here we go. Oh my god. This is what I mean by I wanted to wear the space-age equipment for this, because this does look like I'm going into a mecca when I put this on. Well, since the headset's the only thing in the box, we'll try it on, but first, I'll show you the size of those eyes. Those are where your eyes go, and just to show you why that's so crazy, here's what a Index looks like. Index looks like a pair of goggles. These look like TV screens. My god. The FOV on this is said to be very good, so let's actually try it on first and see how it fits. Here you get to see how big my head is. Okay, bring that on, bring that down. I currently have no idea how I look. First thoughts when I put it on, adjusting the sound, so the speakers rather, is not exactly the most convenient thing. You really got it's a lot of force to slide the speaker back and forth. The weight is definitely noticeable, but really well balanced. It's not as front heavy. I thought it was gonna be really front heavy. You know, you put it on, and I thought it was just gonna be like, ugh. This, I like it. I barely noticed the weight of the Index, but I mean, you can feel the weight. It's definitely there. I don't know if this is actually heavier. I think it's just balanced differently, which is kind of why I can feel it. It, like, definitely, I can feel this, the weight being out here, but there's no real, like, oh, my head's gonna collapse kind of thing. There is, however, two weird things I noticed I'm not a massive fan of. Maybe I'm just, you know, need to get time to adjust to it, or I'm wearing it wrong, but this little nose piece here, which I will, hi, welcome on in. This little nose cover here, which is very hard to see, I'm aware. There we go, that's a much better shot of it. It's a bit too big. It's poking up, like, into here, into my eyes. Not, like, enough to actually hurt, and I'm kind of already a little bit used to it, but definitely too far. Like, if I was actually owning this, I would trim that back just a little bit. The other thing is that there is a decent amount of weight on your actual nose when you put this on. There really isn't much else to do but to get this working and give it a go, so yeah, let's plug it in and try it around. Okay, so we've got the on-off button here, we've got the eye adjustment here, right? But then we've got these two buttons here, which are actually volume. I hadn't figured for VR headsets having those, but yeah, I guess. It just controls my computer's volume. I'm trying to think if any other VR sets have them, because I don't think the Index or the Vive did. Okay, I think I've got everything set up and working. 2 Index controllers. We are running native, no upscaling. We're running at 90 Hz refresh rate. There's a backlight, which is at 100%. I'm trying to check any other settings. No, oh, there's motion compensation, apparently. Okay, my Pimax Vision 8KX seems to be working. Let's turn on Steam VR. Here we go. I'll show you some of my screen so you can see what I'm seeing and actually get into trying it out. The Pi tool is actually pretty easy to use, very easy to set up, simple and straightforward. A quick peek at the headset settings. There you go. We can change the field of view as well. I might try large later, but we'll start with normal for now. A few things to start off. First of all, I tried to run this at 90 Hertz. Just did not work. My computer's stats will be here somewhere, probably. And yeah, that just would not run. It was constantly, I think the best way to describe it is it was flashing, it wasn't actually tracking properly, it was quite sickening. I've currently got it running at 60 Hertz, but I'm going to show off something in just a second. I actually wonder, I think, okay, you can kind of see it in the video right now. If you see that little tree flickering, let's see if I can demonstrate this. There we go. So you can see that in the corner of the screen, that my physical FOV I was getting out of this was larger than the loading FOV, which was sickening. That is something I never want to do again. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on to 75 Hertz and see if that works, and I'm also going to upscale the FOV of the games themselves. VR view clearly doesn't work very well with this headset. This is apparently the both eyes view. Okay, main recording's a bit bugged. I don't know whether that was due to the Hertz or the FOV. I'm going to assume the FOV. So I'm going to use the camera for this recording. But basically, the FOV is about 180. It's pretty impressive. So if I go to my hands about to here, I can, looking forwards, I can see both of my hands wiggling right there. If I move them back a bit, about there, I can't see my hand. Oh, I can still see my left hand. There we go. If I looked in a direction, that's about as far as my hand can go before I lose sight of it. So that's, like, the FOV, actual FOV you get is pretty nuts. But there is a range of about, hang on, it feels like it's about here that your vision starts to get blurry. And there is, I'm trying to see, it is like a decent, there is a decent dead zone in the form of the, what do you call it? The little block in the middle, of course, the nose guard or rather, the part where your nose goes. In that if I look over, I can see that when I'm looking in. It kind of, it's not doing the thing where my brain makes my nose disappear, so I can still kind of visibly see the black in my vision when I look over. But to be fair, you never really want to be looking over this way because once you get to this point, it's blurry. It feels like, I don't know, it's weird. It feels like the extent of where I can actually read to, yeah, it only becomes not blurry about here. So that's a pretty narrow cone where things aren't blurry.
Editor Rimmy here with 2 quick points. First of all, I believe I know why there is this heavy blur at the edge of the vision, and that is down to the lenses. Logically I know, but I also didn't actually know enough about lenses in VR, so I googled it and found this information from a random website. BlameXinReality.com if I am wrong. However, they state lenses are needed in VR HMDs, the headsets, that's what a HMD refers to, head-mounted display, in order to bend the light, making it easier for our eyes to accommodate the incoming rays and correctly see the images generated on a display that is 1.2 to 3 inches from the user's eyes. With the lenses, the images are perceived as further away than they really are. Logically then, if the lenses are doing that, then they can't also do it in all directions at the same time, which is of course then combined with the incredible FOV of the Pimax, making it that the edges of my vision aren't actually focused. I'm still seeing them, but they're not being focused the same way the front side of the vision is being focused. Thus, while I have peripherals that other headsets don't, the peripherals are blurry. The other point was to quickly show off the microphone of the Pimax.
Yeah, it only becomes not blurry about here. So that's a pretty narrow cone where things aren't blurry.
Personally, I think it's 100% serviceable. It's not as good as the indexes in my opinion, but it's 100% okay for a microphone for a headset. It works fine. At the time, I thought it was terrible because of an audio issue I'll go into later.
The FOV looks great, but I think I will still end up just doing the same thing you do in VR, where you want to look at something, you don't just glance your eyes down, you turn your head and you're like, ah yes, a thing. Ah, cool, I must read the thing. Everyone's blind in VR the way they look around because they have to obviously point their headset straight at the thing, and it still feels like I'm gonna have to do that with this. But I do want to go try a game now, and hopefully the game's recording will look normal. I'm gonna try Blade and Sorcery, and I'll see if I can actually, you know, the peripheral vision matters, or if it works, or if I can actually see people coming at me. which I think will be very cool. A few weird things to start off with. First of all, I had to change the HMD view because there's it just doesn't work right in Blade and Sorcery recording, but the player view works fine, so, you know, you can actually see my hands and everything, I think. Yep, everything looks okay. Second weird thing, there is something in the bottom left corner of my vision. I don't know what it is, but there's just something right here. I don't know what it is. It looks like a menu or something. It's like kind of, there's black space surrounded by like some weird letters. I don't know. Point is, I don't think the game really appreciates what I'm trying to run it in. Because something's not working. But weirdly, right side is okay. That's very strange. Third weird thing. There is no popping here. It's all fine. Everything stays loaded. But I can actively see when things go blurry as I turn. And that is really disorientating and uncomfortable, unfortunately. Do it in real life, and unless your peripheral vision, the cones, I think it is, unless those are heavily damaged, when you turn your head in real life, or you flick your eyes, the corners of your vision don't, like, blur. They stay in view, even if you can't focus on them. They stay focused. This is really weird, that over here is just like, I have no glasses, I can't see anything, and then over here, clear vision. No glasses, clear vision. It's fine if I stand still, but as soon as I start moving my head, it's just so weird to see that my peripheral vision doesn't work like it should, basically. Still, I'm not actually feeling sick yet, so let's carry a couple swords in, and we'll go kill some people, shall we? Still, straight ahead, like, it is genuinely beautiful. I don't know if it's just, you know, my head doing tricks, but hey, let's try it out. Let's see how some fighting with the peripheral vision goes. Okay. First thing I immediately noticed, the sounds are not good. These speakers are really bad, actually. I thought they were okay earlier, but anything kind of bassy feels really tinny instead. I stopped to check the audio to make sure I wasn't doing something wrong, but no, I think that's genuinely how the audio sounds. It's not good. I don't know. I'm gonna have to try the index and make sure I'm not going mental, but I don't know why these speakers are so tinny. Like these sounds, they're okay, but whenever I, you know, clanged a sword against another, here we go, like one of these, just go. I don't know. It was very tinny and kind of. Crappy. We're gonna finish this dungeon, see how the sound holds up. Hello there. I wanna see if I... Come at me, I wanna... Oh, did I genuinely just block that? I'm too good! Hang on, I'm trying to use the corner of my vision against her. Oh, that just missed. Okay, I wanna... Oh, wait. Here we go, I'm gonna try and... Okay, no, that nearly hit me. No. Problem is, I don't know if I'm just reacting to the sound or not. Oh, no, okay, that time I was definitely reacting to her. Okay, so, it's interesting. I need to fight more people. Wow. You need a hand, brother? I need to fight more people at once, but it is pretty cool to see someone out in the corner of your vision. I'm going to change the FFR and see if that helps. Thankfully, their detection range is really small. If we just creep up nice and quiet like... Boop. Oh dear! Oh shit. You wanna fight? You really just stare at the wall, huh? Okay. I bet you lick it too.
Any closer and I'll turn him into a lamb kofta. Oh dear. Oh me. Oh, hang on. Just let me trim that, would I? There we go. Oh, okay. That was pretty nice. I didn't actually look down and see those guys. I just saw them all out of the corner of my eye. They were blurry as hell, but I did see movement. Like a T-Rex, I sensed them. And like a T-Rex, I shall dispatch them. No, my mortal enemy! No! He's got me! Hey.
You shouldn't be here.
It's armed. I didn't do it, I swear. There is no goblin in your well.
Okay, I'm going for a short break, but I'm also going to increase the fixed FOV-ated rendering to see if that will actually change anything out of my vision, and then I'm going to try Onward and Pavlov and see how they feel.
It's hard to tell. I don't think that actually did anything. I don't know. If it did, it's really minimal. Like, My hand still starts to blur about here.
Onward's just not booting, so I'm gonna boot Pavlov instead and see how this works. That's very unfortunate for recording. Okay, so I'll just try and demonstrate. In VR, I am directly, directly in front of the bloody menu. Which means that my eye is here. In the record, oh, hang on, no, more like here. So I think that's probably down to just the size of the headset, so the FOV rather. Is that the center of the eyes? I forget left eye rendering. That doesn't seem to change anything. I don't know why that even is a setting that exists in this game, but anyway.
Definitely a lot of offsets. I have no idea if this footage is going to be any good, but let's give it a go. Looking with one eye, my right eye, this way. Here it's unreadable. Here I can just read it, send night, and here it's completely readable. Sand night, rather. That's how readable it was. Send night. But having the peripheral vision in VR is pretty fucking sick. Only when I'm really using guns though, because it means I can quite easily see everywhere around me. Like I have seriously increased vision. Like I'm actually able to be looking over here, yet I can still see stuff that's gonna murder me from this direction. The sounds though are just the worst. The guns in this sound so tinny. It almost sounds like a driver issue, like they're not configured right. Oh my god! That made me shit myself. Okay. Once again, increased FOV. Very not. I feel like I'm just being surrounded here. Ooh!
Yeah, I'm not going to sicken you with any more footage from the Pimax recording. That's pretty much the best I could do. It seems that unless the game had a sort of view replacer, kind of like Blade and Sorcery has and like VTOL VR has, then recording it was nearly impossible. But I did switch back to the index just to confirm that I wasn't, going crazy and, I could actually sort of figure out my biases and make sure I had an equal comparison between the two headsets.
The sound is literally night and day. It's so much better in the index. It is now kind of weird to no longer have peripheral vision. Like, my vision stops here as opposed to, like, here. But the clarity, I think it looks about the same. It's genuinely hard to tell a difference. The screen door effect visibly exists, which it definitely did less on the 8KX, but I already basically don't notice it on the index. It's very minimal, and I never noticed it on the 8KX. I barely noticed it on this. Is that really just... Huh, that's just a little hidden dungeon down here, huh?
Whew, normally I just don't take my medication to get those sort of experiences. So, let's go through the two headsets, what I like, what I don't like. Man, I genuinely think it might be a driver thing, so I'm going to do a bit of Googling first. I'll get up the stats for both of them, the costs, and we'll go through everything from the top to the bottom. Okay, I've apparently this audio thing is a known problem, and I'm about to show you what the actual solution is, apparently. So this is really interesting. Apparently the Pimax sound issues are a known thing. I've looked into the forums as well. There's various mentions there. But the solution that he says, the reason why my face went, this is apparently the solution. Leaving the audio jacks half plugged. Not what I'd expect out of a headset of this quality though. Those, like the fact that it didn't work out of the box and those speakers were that bad, like that terrible. Really, like I almost just thought, I was like, maybe am I imagining how good the indexes are? No, the indexes are incredibly better. Just undoubtedly. So yeah, that's a massive hit to the want of this. Well, I tried my best, but I just can't get these sounding great. It looks like it's a known issue. I did say someone see that they eventually got it working good. Like, I feel like I got it working a little bit better than the tinniness. It's really hard to tell. I need to be boot back in the game and hear exact same sounds again, but it's definitely not the quality I was expecting. This is apparently the high quality headset as well. It comes with these things. You're meant to pop them on, put them in. I didn't put them on just because I don't want to break anything. I'm very afraid. It's obviously not my headset, but obviously they clip on, so I was quite fearful of that. And that's not going to actually change the sound quality. It will change how little external sound I hear and how focused the sound is, but the actual level of sound, the tinniness and stuff is not going to improve by putting those on. It's very strange. I can't place why it's so poor, but according to the Reddit posts of, oh, this is how to correctly set it up,
it's correctly set up. This is correctly adjusted. According to the forum posts as well, I've tried the little, like, in-out trick. I kind of heard some differences when I was playing with how far in the audio cables were, but it didn't seem to fix anything either. It just doesn't seem like the highest quality speakers, and I certainly wouldn't want something like this out of the box to be such an issue to have high quality audio. Okay, let's step through everything I listed in my little intro, and I'll go through my thoughts on all of it, and pretty much wrap at the end which I think wins out. So, starting off with the hardware requirements for the Valve Index, which is something that I've run for a while. The hardware requirements, according to this news article I found on Road to VR, very good website actually, but Valve Index recommends that you have at least a GTX 1070 or AMD equivalent or greater. AMDs never get named, poor guys. CPU is a quad-core plus with 8GB of RAM. So, really quite basic stuff these days. If you can afford VR, you can probably afford the computer to run an Index. I'll go through my computer first before the Pimax stuff. So I've got a German CPU because it's the i9-9900K, my dear god, 64GB of RAM, and an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 Ti. This is the 8KX, their flagship. There's also the 5K Super, which is what they were talking about as well. That one needs much less. It's much more around the level of the Index in terms of, let's go to hardware requirement. But this 8KX, if you wanted to run the upscale mode at 114Hz, it would be about an RTX 2060. They said, though, if you want better image quality, then native mode with 90Hz is the best choice, which needs at least an RTX 2080. Now, I tried 90Hz, and it just did not work. I just could not get 90Hz working. That was even in the, it wasn't even like a game or anything, it was just in the Steam Home. It just wouldn't work. I could run 60Hz and 75Hz just fine, just not 90Hz, which was a little unfortunate. Overall, yeah, whilst Index absolutely does win out on the hardware requirement stuff, if you're someone getting an 8KX, you probably already have a really good computer too. This is not something I'd recommend for someone on a budget. Speaking of budgets, let's move on to cost. So the Valve Index is, as far as I can tell, because Valve won't actually tell me because they don't sell it in my country, still basically $1,000 in the US, sorry, and in the UK is like £900, fake money, we don't care. In Australia though, just so, this is just a little aside so you know how screwed we always get. From EB Games, which they currently don't actually have one in, but that's a normal, it's called games retailer in Australia. A Valve Index Complete kit is 1,900 AUD. To give you an idea, 1,000 USD is only 1,370 Australian dollars. So we're adding on like about 600 bucks just for being Australian. But those aren't even in stock. If you got them through Amazon, it's going to cost you $2,755 to get a Valve Index. Which is insane, but that's, again, just Australia. And actually, other parts of the world as well, again, wherever they don't sell indexes normally. I had to get mine through a scalper on eBay, and I actually only got it for $1,700, which was actually really good. I got it a long time ago, back when there was more indexes, and I imagine that we had less of this problem. But looking on eBay now, I can see ones for $2,000, pretty reasonable if you wanted to get one immediately. Not too bad. That's brand new, by the by. And there's a few pre-owns for less than 1,000, which is really quite a good bargain. So that's the Index. You know, it's a pretty wide range of costs, but overall, I'm very happy with my purchase of the Index in terms of cost, and, you know, I think I got my worth out of it. Let's go over and have a look at the Pimax. So this is in AUD, so we're going off again. So remember, we're saying that the Index can be got, we'll say 1,700, because that's what I bought mine for. You can get it for 2,000, you can get it for 1,000, what was it, 900, you can get it for much less on eBay. Fuck it, we'll say 1,900, right? Because that's more fair. It's what you can get it for now from a retailer. From Pimax themselves, because this does change heavily depending on where you're looking at, there is a lot of different, I saw like $100 up and down depending on the site you're looking at, but from the retailer themselves, this is also on sale right now, okay? So keep this in mind. I think it's a 15% off sale right now. So with 15% off, it's currently $1,560 just for the headset, which would normally be $1,800 just for the headset. And I say just for the headset because that's no base stations like that one and that one over there. And that means no controllers either, like these things here. Those all come separately. If right now I got a Pimax with everything I use today, which means the headset, the improved audio, The 2 base stations and the 2 controllers, that would be in total, with the 15% discount, $2,448. That's a lot of money. That's with a 15% discount. The headphones normally, on their own, are $183. That's a lot of money. Cost is a weird one, and I think I'll save my exact thoughts on it to the end, because I don't think, like, if you're looking at this and you're going, oh, should I get a Pimax? You're not someone who's that worried about budget, right? You're clearly, I'm not saying you're all Mr. Moneybags, all right? You over there, maybe, but if you're getting a Pimax, you're not exactly worrying about eating ramen for a month. Oh, maybe I'll eat ramen, because if you're actually worried about cost, don't get a Pimax. Dear God. Maybe don't even get an Index. I really, really like the Index. I will simp for the Index all day, but there's still far cheaper and more affordable VR sets. But personally, if you're looking for really good VR, the Index is the best cost to payoff ratio, perhaps is the way to say it. Performance. This was a big thing for me. Overall, the performance in games, I couldn't tell much of a difference. I think I was definitely suffering a little bit more of a performance hit, but it wasn't that bad. It rendered pretty okay. I didn't have any visual tearing for all the games I played. There was the only ever issue I had was in one Pavlov match where I'm pretty sure I lagged rather than actually like any sort of headset issues. So it might have even just been something with the game. I don't know, but you know, overall performance for both is phenomenal, quite good, looked fine. Main issue with the Pimax came down to the actual display of it. I don't know if there are any YouTubers who record with a Pimax, because, I mean, I barely could. Only 2 games worked properly. Maybe? I've yet to review the footage. They may all have looked really bad, but I know Onward looked terrible. I know Steam Home VR didn't work, and so, you know, at least for me as a YouTuber, I couldn't justify using the Pimax to record or film or stream. It just won't work. For that reason, the Index absolutely wins out for me. There's just no argument there. It just works better. There is less setup time when it comes to like the actual computer. I had a few issues actually setting this thing up. It was overall more painless, but still more complex than any other VR headset I've used. It's got its own tool, for instance. It's got a bunch of its own settings you got to play with, so you know you weren't being horribly sickened by the FOV and, you know, where the map was cutting off, you know, all that sort of stuff. I get why it has those. Obviously, it needs those, but, you know, there's just more to set up, more to break, more points of failure, and, of course, when it came to me, more issues with recording. Visual clarity. Literally no argument. The Pimax wins out here. Just beautiful. Having gone back and, like, used the Index again, it is visibly clearer. It is pretty as hell. There is... I wish I'd tested more. I wish it just came to head. I was too busy being blown away by the FOV. I wish I'd tested the screen door effect a little more, but it's bloody beautiful. I didn't notice the screen door effect ever. The FOV, oh my god, like actually being able to see, it was mainly in Pavlov I loved it because I could look down my sights and still know that I can see if someone's coming at me from that way kind of thing. Blade and Sorcery mattered a little less, maybe because I was more kind of up close and fighting with people as opposed to being back and, you know, shooting at people, which means having a wider FOV matters more because I'm more likely to see someone kind of movement in the distance and then react to that. That camera is dead. The visuals themselves between the headsets were the same, basically. Like, actually, you know, like up close, anything vaguely close within interaction range was pretty much the same. I'm kind of sad I didn't get to test old Onward and try some like really long-range sniping to see how good the view is at that distance, but it's just better. Of course it is. It's much better. Well, I think that's the biggest thing. It's not that much better to the point that I would recommend this, which comes into the final point that I'll be making at the end in terms of cost. But overall, it still absolutely wins out. If you want to have a prettier headset, this is the one to use. The FOV is wild to play with. It's really quite cool, but it is, yeah, well, it does end up feeling like a gimmick more often than not because apart from that slight advantage it gave me in shooters, I was still just end up looking at things, you know, using my head to look as you do in VR because I had to actually be able to see what I was looking at. I couldn't just flick my eyes over and go, something's over there, because if I did that, it was just blur and I just couldn't see what I was looking at. So it was quite sickening as well at times to see that blur. I got used to it by the end, but at first it was really uncomfortable. Ergonomics. It's quite good. No complaints. It kind of hugs your skull really well. The earphones weren't as nice as the Index, I find. I feel the Index fit my ears a lot nicer. Maybe I just need to adjust the headset a bit more, maybe I need to get used to it more, but overall, I felt the ergonomics were pretty good, with the exception of this little fucking dinky thing right here. I don't know why, that thing just really rode up way too far. Like, I would genuinely trim it down with a pair of scissors if I was wearing, like, using a Pimax most of the time. So I think that pretty much sums it all up. Now, the big golden question. I am not exactly a poor person. I've got money to spare on dumb things, and I've spared it on them before. So I'm the sort of person who would probably get a Pimax, in the sense of, you know, I'm the guy, oh, you know, that's the expensive thing, but I love the hobby because, you know, I adore VR. Would I splash for a Pimax as someone with the money to, and with the ability and reason to possibly do it? I think the answer's no. I don't think I would. This was a fun experience, and I really enjoyed it. But even putting aside my job as a YouTuber, like, obviously, like, I can't use this as a YouTuber. Putting that aside, the actual experience of using the headset was not enough to justify a serious increase in cost. The sound, I know, might just be an error. As far as I saw on Reddit, people were saying that the sound does sound pretty good if it gets working properly. But even then, they were still saying it's worse than the Index, which, I mean, the Index's sound is just really good. The visual clarity, you know, it's better than the Index, but the Index is close enough for much less money. And when I say close enough, I mean pretty damn close. The FOV is definitely the one outstanding factor of, like, damn, that's pretty cool, but it's not enough to make up for the money difference. It's more of a cool, like, oh, this is what it could be in the future kind of thing. This is what we're working towards. This is what we could have, as opposed to a, you know, this is a must-have. There is really not enough to justify just the FOV, I think. As someone with the reason and the disposable income, I don't think I would, personally. You might. I mean, if you really have an exceptional amount of disposable income, I don't think you can really get a better headset than this right now. I think this, I mean, I say there might be one out there by the time that I say that, and of course I could be horribly wrong, but, you know, if you wanted the best headset, I think this is pretty much it. But is it so much better than the Index, which is already really quite good? No, it's really not. It's just the FOV that it has going for it. Everything else, it just can't really justify its own cost, I don't think. I think it's the same case with graphics these days. You know, we're hitting the point in computer games graphics where, you know, a game comes out with beautiful graphics and I'm just like, seen them before. You know, they might be the best graphics it's ever made, but I've seen something pretty close, and you know, it's not like, you know, the old days of going from PS2 to PS3 kind of thing. Either way, I think that about does it. Thank you to Pimax for sending me their space-age technology. It does look very cool, and that is genuinely one of the main reasons I like it. But, I know I didn't give the most glowing review. It is still a phenomenal headset, but I don't know, for the average consumer looking, I mean, not even the average, for the non-average consumer looking to buy, I think this still just remains as one of those, it's a cool thing to have, but I wouldn't recommend it. Hey, look, it's better than the cyber shoes.